Next on HBO. The veterans of D-Day launch into Operation Market Garden in Part 4 of Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg's epic miniseries, Band of Brothers. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Easy Company regroups from the devastating impact of D-Day in Part 3 of Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg's epic miniseries, Band of Brothers. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. You'll be a believer in life after this amazing concert event from one of America's favorite artists, Cher, live in concert at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Bruce Willis is a sneaky cat burglar who's fresh from prison and ready for reform. Now he's being blackmailed into stealing his biggest catch ever, Hudson Hawk. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. They shake their groove things nightly, but when the show's over, these girls go home. A 13-part look at the real lives of exotic dancers, G-string divas. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. These powerful psychics know that 6 senses are better than 5. Cyndi Lauper, Jeff Goldblum, and Peter Falk, 5s. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. The hardest-hitting commentary on the most ferocious sport in America. Before Sunday comes, you better watch Inside the NFL. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. A killer lurks behind the Iron Curtain. Stephen Ray and Donald Sutherland help take you behind it. The making of Citizen X. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. HBO presents a family special that takes aim at tobacco companies who want kids to start smoking. Smoke Alarm, the unfiltered truth about cigarettes. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. There's no doubt men and women are different. For women, an extramarital affair is punishable by death. For guys, it's nothing more than just a little harmless sex. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. A man wrongly accused, a boy who knows the truth, and a world of hate between them. Courtney B. Vance, Virginia Madsen, ambushed. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. From California to Jamaica, explore the ever-changing face of sex in our world. Real Sex 19. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer see dead people in this new supernatural thriller from director Robert Zemeckis. HBO First Look, What Lies Beneath. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Finally, a sequel that will have you as hooked as the first one. Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr., and Brandy. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. He Was One Man Against the Might of an Empire. Ben Kingsley and Candice Bergen star in the Academy Award-winning classic, Gandhi. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Is he or isn't he? Matthew Perry, Nev Campbell, and Dylan McDermott star in this romantic tale of mistaken sexual identity, 3 to Tango. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. With these guys upholding the law, who needs criminals? Steve Guttenberg, Bubba Smith, and Michael Winslow. Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Are you ready to rock? Well, he's back for an all-new season, so you'd better be. The HBO late-night series, The Chris Rock Show. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Strange things happen when the moon is as full as this. Cher, Nicolas Cage, and Danny Aiello star in Moonstruck. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. One lies for fun, the other lies for money. You could call that teamwork. Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. Another You. Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
It's finally here, and all is about to be revealed. The highly anticipated season finale of the HBO original series, The Sopranos.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
The land of the free and the home of the brave wasn't always a luxury that all could enjoy. Matthew McConaughey in Steven Spielberg's Amistad.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
If too many cooks spoil the soup, then too many thieves will certainly spoil the crime. Alec Baldwin and Andre Braugher, Thickest Thieves.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
Cop Harrison Ford and Congresswoman Kristen Scott Thomas suffer the ultimate betrayal and look for comfort from each other. Random Hearts.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
The dog-eat-dog mentality of the outside world is all the more ferocious behind the bars of Oswald State, the HBO original series, Oz.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
Emerald City. It's a great place to visit, but you wouldn't want to live there. Television's most hard-hitting drama, the HBO original series, Oz.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
It's Destination Wednesday, a whole night of HBO original programming. To survive in here, you have to roll with the punches. An all-new season of Oz.
Next on HBO.
It may be cold outside, but things have never been hotter for the girls of Manhattan. It's an all-new bonus season of Sex and the City.
Next on HBO.
A whole night of HBO original series. He'll go to any extreme to make his clients think they're happy. Arliss.
Next on HBO.
New movie every Saturday night. His life has all the trappings, but he's just feeling trapped. Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening, American Beauty.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
An adventure can be found with the turn of a page. Travel with young Bastian to the land of Fantasia in The NeverEnding Story.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
Pretty boy Floyd is ready to make his move, and Chavez can't wait for the chance to step in. World Championship Boxing, Floyd Mayweather versus Jesus Chavez.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
A brutal rape and murder turns a soldier away from his commander. The question now is, can he survive? Sean Penn, Casualties of War.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
They say diamonds are a girl's best friend, but this one is sure to create several enemies. Ron Silver and Joanna Pakula, The White Raven.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
Mario Van Peebles is a cop who thinks the case is closed on a serial killer he helped nab. He couldn't be more wrong. Blowback.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
These people can live without the drugs and the rock and roll, just as long as they have the sex. The HBO original series, Real Sex 22.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
This troupe marches to the beat of a very different drummer. Their rhythm comes from pots, pans, garbage can lids, or anything else they can find. Stomp Out Loud.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
Sarah Polly, Taye Diggs, and Katie Holmes co-star in this edgy cautionary tale of youth, drugs, sex, and recklessness. Get ready, get set, go.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
He may not be able to make sense of a lot of things, but he sure can play a mean game of blackjack. Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, Rain Man.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO.
Director Billy Crystal makes a baseball film for the record books, an HBO special presentation, the making of the HBO original movie 61.
Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Day-old pork has never seemed so appealing as the teens from Angel Beach High make their triumphant return. Porky's 2, the next day. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Dennis Miller's got that lucky feeling as he rolls into his all-new 7th season of Ranting and Raving. Dennis Miller Live. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. It's the groundbreaking music show that'll spur you to finally figure out how to run your television through your stereo. Reverb, featuring the Beastie Boys. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. The critics sang their praises after just one season. Now America's favorite crime family makes its triumphant return. The Sopranos. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Robert Wool stars as one of the most sought-after sports agents on the scene. The season finale of the HBO original series, Arliss. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. Take a sneak peek inside the new Freddie Prinze Jr. movie, where scoring off the field is just as important as on. HBO First Look, Summer Catch. Next on HBO. Next on HBO. From the Academy Award-winning writer of American Beauty, another episode of the critically acclaimed HBO original series, 6 Feet Under. Next on HBO.